Chapter 3. The list was endless. Max glided his hand down the printed sheet his mother had handed him. We have to do all this? His mother nodded. Yes, Max. Since Grandma can't do these things for herself, you and Chris have to do them for her. But I don't know how to cook? Max protested. That chore is in blue, which means it's Chris's responsibility, his mother pointed out. Max looked at the number of items listed in red. Vacuuming, dusting, helping Chris wash the dishes and do laundry. It wasn't so bad. And your father and I have discussed this. Because you are helping Grandma and us out like this, we will quadruple your allowances for the next 2 weeks. Max's eyes lit up. With the extra money he'd make doing this, he could buy 2 new video games and not wait until he'd find them used at the department store. He turned to look at Chris, who nudged him smiling. That's great, Mom. Thanks, Chris said. Rachel, let me chip in. After all, they'll be helping me, Max's grandmother said, rolling her wheelchair closer to them. Max's mother shook her head. No, Mom. Jack and I are taking care of it. She checked her cell phone and gasped. Oh no, I'm late. I have got to go. She grabbed her purse and rushed to the door. If you need anything, just call me on my cell. And Mom, don't go helping Chris and Max around here, you hear? The doctor wants you resting and off your feet. Max's grandmother waved. Yes, dear. You don't need to worry about us. We'll all be fine. She waited until her daughter left and shut the door before rubbing her hands together, grinning eagerly. So who is in the mood for Grandma's famous potato pancakes? Chapter 4. But Grandma, you heard Mom. You're supposed to rest, Chris argued. She waved her hand dismissively and harumphed. What do doctors know? I feel fine. It's not like I am going to be standing on my feet anyway. I'll still be resting in this wheelchair. She tapped the armrest. I have a portable burner I can use anywhere. I'll prepare the batter and cook the pancakes on the table where my wheelchair can easily fit. So what do you say, boys? Are you hungry? Max envisioned his grandmother's famous potato pancakes, which were so fluffy and delicious. His mouth watered and his stomach growled involuntarily. His grandmother laughed. I guess that's a yes. She gestured to the hallway. Max, why don't you go downstairs and fetch me a bag of potatoes? Max's growling stomach just lurched. You want me to go to the basement? He stuttered. Yes, please, Max. I can't make my famous potato pancakes without potatoes. Can I? She smiled pleadingly. Chris squeezed Max's shoulder. Max doesn't know where you store them, Grandma. I'll go down with him and show him where they are. Good idea. I'll get the recipe, she said, turning toward the island and twisting her wheelchair sideways so she could open the bottom cupboard door. Once Max and Chris walked out of the kitchen and into the corridor, Max whispered, Chris, can you go by yourself to get them? I don't want to go down there. Chris frowned, whispering back, No, you're coming with me. But the spider. There is no spider. I'm going to prove it to you. He grabbed Max's hand and tried to guide him to the basement door. Max attempted to anchor his feet in place. No, Chris. I don't want to go into the basement. I saw something when you opened the door before. If Chris wasn't going to listen to him about the spider, then maybe this would change his mind. Chris narrowed his eyes. What did you see? Max gulped. I saw 2 red eyes looking straight at me when you opened the door. Chris shook his head discouragingly. Your eyes and mind were playing tricks on you. Once again, your imagination is going wild. There's no spider or monster with red eyes in Grandma's basement. I swear I saw 2 red eyes, Chris. Max pointed to the door. If we go down there, it's going to get us. Chris threw his head back and started to laugh. What's going to get us, little brother? Do you hear what you're saying? There is no such thing as monsters. Max crossed his arms over his chest defensively. Okay. Then who did those red eyes belong to? There were no red eyes looking at you. It was a lighting trick. You should see the effects light creates in my lens when I don't use a filter on the camera. It was probably the refracting light of something red in the basement that you saw. What is refracting light? Max asked, confused. The scientific answer is too complicated and too long for me to explain. Just think of a prism and the different colors of light it produces when light bounces off of it. Max rubbed his chin. What Chris said did make sense. It was possible it was some sort of reflecting light that looked like a monster's red eyes. Max, let's go. Grandma needs the potatoes. Otherwise she can't make her delicious pancakes. You're hungry, aren't you? Max was always hungry. He had what people called a fast metabolism. He burned off calories faster than he consumed them. You know I am. Chris smiled, tilting his head downward so he could look Max straight in the eye. Well, then the faster we go downstairs and I prove to you the spider is gone, and there isn't a monster with red eyes hiding there, the faster we'll bring Grandma the potatoes, and the sooner you'll be able to eat. Max released his breath slowly, nodding. You're right. I have to face my fears sometime. Might as well do it now and be rewarded with potato pancakes. Now you're talking. Chris twisted the door and slowly pulled it open. Max took a deep breath through his nose and then exhaled it from his mouth. His keen eyes were focused on the darkness. Thankfully, no red eyes greeted him. Chris flipped the switch on the wall, illuminating the stairs. See, there's nothing there. Max nodded. No, there isn't. He jerked his chin forward. Come on. Let's get this over with. Chris skipped down the stairs while Max followed. When he got to the bottom of the stairs, he was shocked. The mess of damp boxes and old furniture that had been resting against the walls was all gone. I told you Mom and Dad cleared out everything down here. After the water damage from the storm, everything had to go. Max sniffed. Yeah. Now it smells fresh, not like something is rotting down here. Chris strode toward the back of the basement where wire pantry shelves were stored. Let's get the potatoes. Max walked over to him when he remembered the spider had been in the corner next to the shelving in this area. He stopped in his tracks and stared in the area. There was nothing there except a narrow table with a tray of darts resting on it. No spider, no dead fly hanging in a web. It was thankfully clear. He waited for Chris to grab the bag of potatoes. Chris looked up at the overhead light and tapped his chin. You know, since there aren't any big windows down here, it would be the perfect place to take my shadow and light picture for my portfolio. His eyes twinkled as if he'd just gotten an idea. And I just got the perfect picture in mind. What do you say? Would you like to be the subject of my photo? Max snorted. Haha, that's funny, Chris. No, I'm dead serious. I'll give you $20 if you do it. I know you've been saving for a new game. That and the money Mom and Dad will give you will help fund it. His offer was too tempting. Max sighed. Sure, why not? Chris beamed. Great. We'll get started right after we eat breakfast with Grandma. He grabbed the potatoes and they turned, hurrying to the stairs. Just when Max set his foot on the first step, a loud thump came from the back of the basement where they'd been standing seconds ago. Max shrieked and jumped.